Yo, welcome to the tip-off episode something with your host Joshua Blakley, Isaiah Winfree, and Nicholas Hofmann. It's awesome to be back, talk basketball. If you're watching this on our Twitch channel on the playback, please hit that follow button, or maybe if you're feeling froggy, hit that subscribe. And if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, also, it's completely free. Hit that subscribe button, helps us out, makes us want to keep doing the show. Let's not waste no time. Big thing this week, huge thing. Everyone's raving about Draymond, Rudy Gobert. How are y'all feeling? What's y'all position on the entire situation?
Why are we surprised? Why are we surprised? Draymond Green has kicked a man in the junk.
Yep.
Clotheslined a guy 3 times in the same playoffs. Punched his own teammate, got caught on camera, and then packed that man up in a box and sent him to DC.
Now let's be real. He's looking like he's right on that Jordan Poole situation.
Oh, for sure. Jordan Poole.
He still Superman punched him. Okay. It wasn't even a normal punch. He straight up Chuck Liddell punched him, man. Like that's insane.
He threw that really far back. I don't know, man. I think the feud's been brewing between him and Rudy Gobert over years.
Yeah,
I think they looked into this. It's been like a 3 or 4 year long feud. We all kind of saw it coming. I didn't expect it to happen this way, but looking at the standings, this might be a playoff series. And if this becomes a playoff series, it gets even more interesting. Right? Am I wrong for that?
Oh,
I don't want to go too far away from Draymond, but I am in the camp of Draymond. 5 games is not enough. Or
what?
I think 10, 15. Look, I hate using this as the baseline, but if we're gonna ban people from the NBA from smoking weed, if we're going to ban somebody for 25 games for putting a legal gun on an Instagram live, then we should take serious actions to what players are also doing on the court. Like just walking up and headlocking someone.
Nope.
It's not just a carry away.
The perception
he didn't just hold. He held it for like
so
10 seconds longer.
Bro, all right. Go ahead, Josh.
I was just going to say, I think if that's another player and not Draymond, I think it's a 1 to 2 game suspension. So I feel like the 5 games is right because I'm all for including Draymond's history into the decision making here with this guy.
I mean, with this history, that's why I say 15 games. I know it's a lot. I know the Warriors will miss him. I know they're the baby of the NBA. It is at the point now where it feels like every season, this is Draymond at the beginning of every season. This is 2 seasons in a row where he's done something like this at the very beginning. And
it's every game Curry doesn't play. He gets
exactly. Rudy said it on Twitter himself. Every single time Curry doesn't play, Draymond finds a way to get out of the game. And it's true. I just think at some point we have to go, all right, this has been a year-long thing of you assaulting people on an NBA court. You have to take a bigger stance against it than just 5 games in my head. You know, this isn't Isaiah Stewart LeBron. You know what I mean?
We watched this clip, right? I'm glad that you sent me the clip that you sent me for this, right? There's beef. They've hated each other for years. We get to watch the play before everything happens. I'm going to break it down for you exactly why man to man, what Draymond Green did was 100% justified.
Man to man.
Oh, yeah. Once you see this as a man, you will be like, I get it. So Draymond is here. Rudy Gobert is here.
We can't see your mouse.
Oh, okay. Well, Draymond is closest to the basket. Gobert is right there next to him. I'm going to stop, and then we'll go to the altercation.
Please.
Oh, that's why you couldn't see my mouse. It was on the wrong screen.
No.
Smacked him upside the head.
But that's for the ball. It's not like he went for him.
They hate each other, bro. It's deeper than that.
That doesn't mean
smacked
anything.
him upside the head. Now watch what happens.
Draymond clearly doesn't care too much about it.
Now what he sees right there is Rudy putting hands on Clay. So what Draymond is about to do is grab the op and pull him off his homie.
All right. So how far
Here-
does he pull him again? How far does he pull him?
That's
How
that's
far away
the
from his
thing.
homie does he pull
He
him?
hates
First
me,
play.
bro.
First play. How far away does he pull him?
So
How
for
far
me,
away? The entire length of the court.
Hold
The
on, Josh.
entire length.
Go ahead, Josh.
so for me on this thing is I just kind of want to point out, and this is like kind of an unwritten rule, but when there's a scrum like this, you're supposed to grab your guy and get your guy out. You're not
Yeah.
supposed to grab the other team. And Rudy Gobert does grab Clay. Is he trying to break it up? Yeah, I don't buy the whole, oh, he had his hands around his neck. I think that was about like a little saving grace there. But the unwritten rule is you get your guy and you get your guy out of there.
Yeah.
Him dragging him the whole length of the court is pretty damn excessive.
No,
I
I feel
not
like I'm kind of in the middle of, if he grabs him and just pulls him out and walks him past half court, okay, but
What?
Let it play until the
Fast.
replay. Let it play until the
Yeah.
play dies, and then the replay goes.
So I'm gonna play that first 8 seconds so we can see the way he runs up on him, and we'll see just how long he pulls him back. Because I think we're over exaggerating how far he drugged this man.
Yeah. No, I don't think we are, but we're gonna find out. Still going. How many people do we have to say stop?
Yeah.
Still going.
See,
Look, still
that's
going.
the thing. It's
Still going. Still going. And now it's come on, bruh. Come on.
I didn't.
Come on. And it's not a man-to-man. I'm gonna hold you
No.
and tear you back.
No.
He
Yeah, he
all right,
hates
yeah,
that
all right,
man.
cool.
I agree with you. He
I will
messed
say
up.
though, it doesn't look like he's like choking him out. It
Okay.
does look like
When
there's
the
a bit of
replay
room.
comes and the arm is on the neck, I don't think people realize how headlocks work, but they don't take very long to sink in. They don't take very long at all.
No, but
It-
it doesn't look like he's like full on choking him out. It looks like he's dragging him out, to me at least, with a headlock.
Can we get to
It's
the
just-
other?
he's
Let's get
short.
to the other angle.
Oh God.
The one where the arm is around the neck. Yeah. And keep in mind, no points have been scored.
Yeah. Jeez.
Look at the jersey. God.
How did his jersey get ripped like that? Was it Wiggins that
That-
ripped it?
McDaniels. Yeah.
McDaniels.
Oh, my bad. McDaniels.
McDaniels, who he should have went after.
Right. But again, that comes back to what I was saying. Like the unwritten rule is you get your teammate and get them out of there. And Gobert grabbed Clay.
Oh, Clay did the old
mean-
man thing and grabbed his jersey.
Yeah, he did
Yep.
it back. I mean, that's a one-on-one.
And they
I think you
didn't let
leave
go.
that. Gobert's not trying to hurt. Look at that. Around the
Yeah.
neck. That's completely in the neck. That's locked in.
Yeah.
Are we in agreement so
Chris
that
Paul did
Gobert
the right
is
thing.
trying to break it up?
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, for
Rudy
sure.
Gobert's trying to
Gobert
clearly
is just
break it
trying to
up.
break it
Because Draymond and them tried to make the point that he put his hands around Clay's neck, and it was
Look,
like,
no, not
Oh.
even around his
Well-
neck, not even close. That's an arm under the arm.
Yeah.
yeah, He's
Draymond
hugging
saw
him.
him touch this guy,
Yeah.
and I want them to give us the whole other angle because I
Yeah,
get what you're
that's
saying
why I
about the
was trying to
safety
get
of
you
it
to
all, and
fast
it's
forward it.
funny, but I don't want anybody to like, oh, this is something we should try and replicate at home, because he for real could have killed that man, right? Is that the point you're getting at? Is like he put his life in danger?
It's not even just killed, but yeah, his life is in danger. Breathing is the number one thing to living.
Yeah,
And immediately went for the throat. You're not trying to hold the man back by holding him at the throat. You're trying to choke that man out. We've all been on the blacktop. We've all seen fights. We've
Yeah.
all seen scuffles.
if you're holding
No,
someone back,
Look
it's
at
around
that.
their waist.
That is beyond locked in. And he's cranking.
Okay.
And
yeah,
he's cranking.
he's cranking. You're right.
And he's cranking. And he's not letting go. Clearly, Rudy Gobert isn't holding anyone
oh,
for
he's
like a
talking
good ass.
to him. He said, "Go to sleep. Just go
Yeah.
to sleep."
That's not 5 games to me. That is, I think we've seen everything here.
Okay,
That's not 5 games. That's 15.
I understand the way that you feel now, right? Way more than I did before. So what? Let's say that Draymond is successful. What conversation are we having then?
Successful of what? Choking him out?
Choking him out. He doesn't kill him. Let's just
That's
say
That's
gets what he wants and he knocks him out.
If he takes a man and makes him unconscious on the court
He's
with
got to
no
be gone
point,
for the season.
game just started.
Yeah.
He's gone for the season. Yeah.
Is that it? Just the season? Do you think they blackball him out the league because
they
of his
gave
history?
Ja 25 for the guns? They're not doing anything more than a season with Draymond.
I don't think he's done because he'll always have a place in the Warriors unless he does something absolutely insane. But yeah, I think that's probably a full season,
if not 50 games.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to me that because Rudy Gobert is too strong, he wasn't able to like completely just hold the man, right? If that is not a 7-foot center, if that is just another 6'7", 6'6" wing like Draymond is, Draymond is strong enough where that choke is not a choke and the guy's falling. That choke that's a choke and the guy's being held up by Draymond. That conversation is does Draymond deserve a job anymore in the NBA?
The only thing I want to point out though is I still can't believe that Cat or Anthony Edwards didn't throw a punch. Didn't throw a fucking punch. Didn't throw a punch. They should have. Should have. And I know I'm never gonna like push for violence in the league or anything like that. But at that point, when your teammate's being choked out, I think you throw a punch.
Yeah. They go from having a hot start to having a hot start and questioning if their teammates are even like brothers to them. And that's the worst case for Timberwolves here. I don't think they look at it like that. I think they look at it as quote unquote trying to be professionals,
doing the right thing.
Yeah.
But because they were trying to separate and
But Cat, you got to do more, bro.
Cat is just standing there while his man's getting choked out.
But like to me, right? If I was Cat, I would have. Oh, for sure.
If I'm Cat, I put Draymond in a headlock.
Yeah.
But where do you put your hand? He's got Rudy Gobert's head right here. So for you to head like Draymond, you kind of have to punch Rudy Gobert.
I think you do just punch Draymond.
Hammer?
I mean, hit him in the back of the head.
I don't know, dude.
I think a hammer is acceptable. Just once upside the head.
No, hammer's so strong. Hammer's harder than a punch. Depending on the angle. I think, yeah. I mean, look, like he said, not pushing for violence, but you have to do something.
For sure.
You have to do something when your teammates are getting choked out. Whatever it is you decide to do, and the consequences are up to you. But something needs to happen besides just watching your mans get choked out.
Did not rap on last week's episode thinking that we would open this week's episode with the sentence, watching your teammate get choked out. You know what I'm saying? What kind of world do we live in?
Well, I know one thing though, and that this is not just a problem with the Timberwolves. We're looking at the Warriors, and they sat there and watched at the time who they thought was their next Steph Curry at the time get knocked out. And you didn't see no reactions besides Draymond might get suspended. This is not a just Timberwolves issue. There's a lot of players in this league who thing? Yeah, I think it's everyone's convinced everyone to keep it professional, and that's super nice, and I like that. Don't get me wrong, but it does come to a point where there's players like Draymond in this league. He's not the only one, and I want more players like that who are willing to get physical. Maybe not this level, but you want that. You want that Pat Bev energy in players. You know what I mean? But when those players go overboard, there has to be people like a James Johnson. There has to be players like you guys know who James Johnson's on the Heat. Yeah, there has to be a Zach Randolph. There has to be a Udonis Haslem. They're ready to go. Okay, what's up? Like, all right, this is not what we do. Draymond's weird because he's not just that kind of player. He's also important to a lot of other things on the court where those players are really good at just affecting off the court. That's why it's so weird to watch Draymond do this kind of stuff. If this was Udonis Haslem, if this was James Johnson, you're going, he did his job. But because Draymond has 1,000 other jobs to do, this is bad for him. And, take it how you want.
Yeah.
I just agreed that Draymond is tripping, doing too much, played with the man's life. I still don't know how far off base he was. You know what I'm saying?
Your job isn't to choke someone out. Your job is to show them who's boss, and it's very different.
He did it.
That
too
elbow
long,
is one thing.
But I can't say that me personally, on the basketball court, if there was somebody I did not like in real life that did some funny stuff, or I interpreted something as I got hit in the head, and now he's putting hands on my teammate, I also might go choke that man.
Okay.
For me, it's the dragging away. If he puts him in a headlock and throws him to the ground, I'm pretty cool with that.
Yeah,
because it sends a message.
There's a reason that happened to Rudy Gobert. There's a reason why he beefs with Steven Adams, right? People like Draymond put their tenacity and their aggression on the table, and they almost pull everybody's card in a way of like, who's going to do something about it?
But
little
it's about
guys
how
have
you
that
do
same energy. No, for sure. I'm getting there. Little guys have that same energy. Your Pat Bevs, right? But Draymond does it different because he's big. Some people play different against Draymond. Some people submit to that energy. Let him put his energy on the table and alpha himself out. Some people just play around that, and other people don't fold for it. And those are the people that they rub and make friction with, right? There's a reason that it was Rudy Gobert. I don't think that Draymond Green is dragging Karl Anthony Towns, who I think is softer than Rudy Gobert. I don't think he's dragging him 20 feet. I don't think he's doing that.
Get away with it.
Well, not even can't get away with it. Like here, like he latched on. If you watch, like he latched on to him like a dog.
It's almost like Draymond was like, "This is my chance to get this guy."
As someone who's done MMA for at minimum 8 years, I know what it looks like to see someone be able to grab a choke and seamlessly, perfectly slide that in and get it locked in immediately. I'm not saying Draymond is out here training or anything, right? But Draymond knew what he was doing with that choke. He didn't just slide it in and go,
do you
shoot,
think
now
you
I got to crank.
Teammates just because you're hard? No, you punch teammates because you know how to throw punches. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, the Jordan Poole thing is different. He can't just be hard against Jordan Poole.
Hey,
that's
same
still
resume.
Wild to me that he punched his teammate. I mean, we've seen this. He's definitely has a loose temper.
More teammates need to get punched. Not that we should be out here punching our teammates, but I think like it's people are so soft nowadays, right? If I am a diva, but I'm good at basketball and I drop the ball and my team suffers for it, the worst thing that happens to me is I put my headphones on and sulk and don't nobody do nothing to me because it's 2023, right? In 2003, if I was being a diva and threw the game away because of some other stuff, right? Because I just wasn't hooping, I'm liable to get my butt beat up in a locker room. And that makes people perform.
That's the narrative
I was just gonna say it's the extent of it though. Like if we're talking about the Jordan Poole situation, if Draymond runs up and shoves Jordan Poole to the ground, sends the same message, the team gets in the middle, it gets broken up, no one gets a broken,
doesn't.
It does send the same message.
No, it doesn't. And here's why, right? Because I'm trying not to laugh because it's just comical, the size differences, and the sheer ferocity that this man fights with in a basketball uniform. A shove is one thing, right? You're angry, you're upset, shove, that's cool. But like a punch or a slap, like that is, those two things are different. Those are
that's crossing a line.
Yeah.
To a teammate. A teammate.
Yeah, very much. And
at the end of the day,
I hate the sentiment that a lot of Warriors fans are going out there with of, oh, it's just soft now. Oh, these players are soft. Oh, this should be fine in some cases. No, it never should be. This has nothing to do with being soft. This is everything to do with knowing where you are and what you are making. You are making millions and millions, and you are on a court, and you're only there for 48 minutes. That's all. Like, look, I'm sure there's 1,000 other things that make that job very difficult. I'm not trying to minimize it. But in the moment, you are just on that court. Get through the game. I get your best players in there, but it doesn't make anyone soft for not putting up with your BS antics. It doesn't at all. You know why Pat Bev is getting booted around to so many teams? Because eventually people go, oh, he plays defense and he plays really hard. Yeah, but it doesn't mean winning.
Yeah.
This Draymond stuff doesn't lead to winning. What leads to winning with Draymond is when he plays his role and does it well and stops with the BS. You see him do it in certain playoff series where he just doesn't care to go into it. And they win those. When he does stuff like this, it doesn't lead to winning. It doesn't prove that you're hard because you punched your own teammate or because you choked the guy out. It proves that you're an idiot. Like in reality, you know what I mean? Nobody's G checking. You're Draymond Green. You make more than almost everyone on that team but one guy. Who are you G checking? Rudy Gobert? Come on. We good to hop into report cards now?
I don't know, man. Are we?
I think we are, man. I think all of our points are.
I just want to make
made.
one note. When I played AAU, our team, our coaches almost encouraged us kind of getting into it a bit. And we always had the one rule. The coach said, if I see you getting into it with a teammate and you ball your fist, you're running the rest of practice because we're not throwing punches at teammates. If you guys want to shove a little and you guys want to talk, like, cool, like the rest of the team can come in there and break that up. You guys can cool off. The second somebody balled their fists up, they were running up downs the rest of the game, or the rest of the practice.
And you hear those stories about Kobe after Shaq left, of how Kobe would get into these verbal altercations with his teammates, right? 99% of them never ended physically. That's what made Kobe a good leader, right? Is because he was able to turn that into just words. And sometimes, I'm sure if they were physical, they didn't get out. Jordan had to smack people. Now, how many people actually wanted to play with Jordan? Not many. That was also during the era where there weren't a lot of good players. We could talk differently, but the point is that you get it how you get it, and it has to lead to success, right? If you're out here punching people, it's not going to lead to success. The blueprint for that hasn't been shown since the 90s, early 90s. The physical violence, the assaulting people, it's just there's a place for it, and it's not in the NBA. And it's not on the court during play. You know, you want to do your thing in practice, and it stays out of the media, off a camera, go for it. That's how you run your team. Clearly, you know how to do it better than I do. When it comes to on camera and on the court, we're going to get on to Ja Morant for not holding himself well. Then we have to learn to hold ourselves and other players accountable as well. And that includes just hitting and attacking people as you feel free. He clearly wanted that Rudy Gobert thing. I don't know. This is such a clear thing for me that it's crazy that he only got 5 games. In my head, it's wild that he only got 5 games. Because had that be obviously not another star, right? He's not a star. Draymond's not a star. But had that be a star, probably would be just 5 games or maybe even less. But I am actually the opposite. I think if that is a player who's lesser known than Draymond, I think that's way more than 5 games. I think it's more. I think if you're just choking people out and you're not important to the business of the NBA, then you are easily thrown out.
You think so?
I think so. They look how easily they throw out players for just wanting or just complaining too much or just wanting trades too much or just not liking their fit. And now take those same players and have them just punching people. They're out of a job. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not saying that if Evan Fournier assaults someone on court, he's going to get taken out of the league. No, I'm not saying that. But if Joshua Primo does, he's out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it sucks I had to use him because he has actual history. But you get my point. Let's get on to grades, though, guys. Let's go on to grades.
Yeah, go ahead and pull it up. I got the Western Conference standings right here.
We'll do East first.
All righty. I got the Eastern Conference standings right here pulled up.
Go ahead, Josh. Give us our first team for our grades.
So I will start with the Celtics, I guess. I felt like this was a kind of an easy one. I gave them an A+ for switching up the whole core of, not the whole core, but switching up a decent part of their core of their team, bringing in 2 guys like Holiday and Porzingis. I really felt like, you know, they were going to be good. I had them as my second team in the East, but I didn't expect them to look as good as they have out of the gates. They're 7th in points per game, 1st in rebounds per game, 4th in offensive rebounds per game. They just lost tonight to the Hornets. They were 11-2. They look like the best team in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't agree more. I also have them as an A+. I don't think there's... I mean, they're the best team in the league, they look like. Drew looks amazing. Porzingis is thriving in the Celtics uniform. I didn't think it would happen. I didn't have any faith in it. I knew Drew would fit in well. But Drew has just been like point of attack on every single ball handler. They have a guy for that. And then they also have a big who actually is playing big. Porzingis is playing big out there. And that's not surprising when you look at who they have as his vets on that team with Horford and etc. But I just didn't see it coming. And Tatum and Brown having less ball handling makes that team work so much better.
Yep.
And when their ball handling is just these DHOs or just off of screens, it feels more seamless. You still have your Tatum one-on-ones where he feels like he's going a little too ISO ball, but it's not enough to make them lose games. I mean, they're thriving. I don't think I think anything below A+ is on crack. Isaiah?
I agree 100%. I don't have anything to add.
Heck yeah, man. Anything else on the Celtics?
What's up?
Anything else on the Celtics, Josh?
Oh, I was just gonna say, Porzingis looks like the guy we thought he was when he was in New York. The guy that we thought he was gonna be. He looks great. I hope he can stay healthy.
Yeah, same. How the whole team does. Go ahead, Zay.
Going into the Sixers, right? I want to say that they are an A, not quite an A+, but an A. They've got guys that are really coming out and doing their thing. They've dodged the slump that usually comes with all the off-court drama. They've dodged that pretty well. They're looking really good without James Harden. Doing exactly what they need to do. They're performing very well. They're second in the East. There's no real reason that this can't continue for them, at least through the All-Star break, to be second in the East. So that's about as, if you want, the Celtics A+, because they're having a really good season so far. They're looking like who we expected them to be. And if you're looking for success, the Celtics are doing it. That's an A+. But if you're looking for just good regular season basketball, the 76ers are doing that. So I think they're a solid A flat.
I agree with the A flat. I had them at A- because I sometimes could be a Philly hater, but I tried really hard not to be. So I gave them an A. They do look more alive. They do look more energetic after the trade. Mm-hmm. It feels like they should be deeper, but since Kelly Oubre was out, I do feel a little worried about what if one of these core pieces gets injured. Well, I feel like it might actually affect the playoff run come the playoff time. So it does worry me, but they're in a better spot. Their depth is still a little awkward for me because they have a lot of those 3-4s that kind of can play the 2 maybe, but also kind of can play the 5. The 3-and-D guys like Covington, like Batum. I'm sure there's one more that I'm missing, but I mean, Kelly Oubre is looking nice. Wish the best for his injury. Maxey looks amazing. I mean, way better than I expected. And Embiid still looks like MVP. He's not the MVP, but he's still in MVP form. Yeah, I mean, A is about as fair as I feel like I can give them. Josh?
So I'm surprised. I'm the highest one. They're my only other team, so I don't feel like I was too generous on these grades, but I had them at an A+. The reason why, the biggest deal to me coming in this season is what is Joel going to do next year or the year after? The 76ers found their co-star for Joel Embiid. Maxey looks like the perfect Robin to the Batman.
Yep.
And they have a ton of cap space. They somehow managed to get a decent package back for James Harden, who only wanted to go to one team. And I'm pretty sure only one team really wanted him. They stuck it out. They had this whole cloud over their head. They have a new coach. Like, this is a team that's running a whole new system. They have this whole drama coming into training camp. And what comes out of it? The second best record in the East. You find your co-star. Joel Embiid seems like he's going to be a Sixer for life at this rate, which I think is the biggest win for them.
Yeah.
That's all I got on
that. I agree with the Batman and Robin thing. Watching them play reminds me so much, and this is going to feel a little weird because I think Embiid is farther along than Jokic was at the time. But watching them play reminds me of Jamal Murray, Jokic in the bubble. Watching the Sixers team with the way that Maxey is coming into his spot, with the way Embiid is playing off of him, I really enjoy watching it. I am a little worried that the NBA is progressing in a way that this style of basketball, you look at these other teams that are popping, maybe not so much in the East because it's still kind of the same way it has been for years, but the West, I am a little worried about their play style of it working, but 10-3, clearly I'm wrong. You know what I mean? That's the only reason why I didn't give them that plus, but I mean, completely valid. All those reasons almost had me switch over right then and there. I'm actually going to bring up the Pistons.
Okay.
They're my next team written down. I have them in an F+. Now give them the plus because Sir Thompson looks amazing. I forgot what video I was watching on YouTube, but somebody compared him to Sean Marion, and I like that so much.
That's a good comp. Yeah,
I like it a lot. The shooting needs to come into place, really for all their team. Ivy and Hayes feel like they've switched places since last year.
They're both awful.
Yeah, where I
they've both
really
been awful.
I had so much love since draft night of Ivy. And I am starting to give up on it the same way I gave up on Killian Hayes when I was high on him. You really want these dynamic point guards over there, but they just don't have the space for it with Cade. They keep trying to turn these ones into twos. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say they have absolutely no spacing. They have the worst spacing in the freaking league. I still have hope for Ivy. He's a second-year guy, and when you look at that situation, man, it is just not good. It's just not good.
You would think with them getting Monty Williams and that huge coaching payment upgrade to start the league for a lot of coaches, but he's the one that started. You would think it would be a lot better. I almost gave them a D because I think if you're the Pistons, regardless of how you're performing right now, you want to be at 15 seed. Maybe not for the morality of your players, but this is kind of where you don't mind to be. If you're the worst team in the league, yeah, you want your players to start getting better, but you have pieces who are clearly good for the future in Duren, in Cunningham, in Thompson. You made a right draft night move. I thought it was a stupid move on draft night, but I love it now. They're not the worst place, but they are an F to me, an F plus. You guys, where are we at with that?
I have them at a D for the exact same reason. The only reason that they're not a hard F for me is because they are where they're supposed to be. And as the bottom feeders, 2 and 13 doesn't look bad on them. They want to draft more. They need to keep developing. And honestly, if they set the floor with this core that they have, right? Thompson, Cunningham, and Durham, they set this bad season, terrible season, as their floor, it can only go up. Monty Williams is a good coach. They do have good pieces. They can't trade for nothing because everybody is either important or garbage. But hopefully free agency and the draft will help them out with that. So I think they're at a D because you still don't want to be there. That's what the D is for. Don't want to be there.
Yeah, Detroit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just an ugly spot to be. Josh, how are you feeling about it?
I have them at the worst grade possible that you can have, whatever that is, dude.
F minus.
Okay.
As an OKC fan, this drives me nuts. They have been at the bottom for so long, and nobody calls them out and says, hey, these guys have been tanking forever, and they've only gotten one good freaking player. Like, this is insane to me. They are at the bottom of the league year after year after year, and we just, oh, well, it is what it is. And then they get Cade. And this is what, Cade's
third season?
Okay. Yeah. And it's like, what are you guys doing? They have 3 big men. Not one of them can shoot. I mean, I guess Isaiah Stewart's been shooting a little bit. But the whole James Wiseman and Jalen Duren, I love Jalen Duren, but Wiseman's got to go. They got to figure something out here. I respect the Monty Williams hire because they're trying to turn the culture around and stuff. But at this point, it's just... They've been at the bottom for too long. They need to do something to shake it up.
At least the Thunder had vets around their young guys. The Pistons went, let's just take a shoot ton of lottery picks and let's just hope they all work together like lottery players should. That's not how the NBA works.
It doesn't. Yeah, the players aren't getting better. Like, outside of Cade, Jaden Ivey looks worse. Killian Hayes looks like he should be in the G League. Duren, yes, he got better. But he was pretty good to start with. Isaiah Stewart, he's a cool player. I like him. I don't think he necessarily fits into that group. The spacing is absolutely terrible, and it's ugly watching them. I mean, I try to turn on Pistons games. I watch it for like 8 minutes, and I feel sick.
Yeah, so I was going to watch a shoot ton of Pistons games. I had them as my rising team this year. I couldn't have been more wrong. Nope. I really couldn't have been. It's bad. It's hard to watch. I agree. Yeah. I was going to watch a lot of Pistons games this season and Wizards games, and very quickly, I have not watched many of them. I've watched a little, and then I go, I've seen everything I need to see. This probably won't turn around. Let's go to the next one. But yeah, no, I mean, I think we have everything for the Pistons. Josh, who are we going to next?
I guess I'll just keep going down my list in order. I have the Bucks at an A minus.
I agree.
Hasn't been the best start, but hasn't been the worst. They're kind of having the start that I thought the Celtics would have as well. The record's good on the floor. It looks pretty clunky at sometimes. The rebounding, I lost the stat here. I think they were towards the bottom in rebounding. They got to figure out a way to hide Dame and cover for him on defense. So it's a lot of systematic stuff with the new coach. I don't think the new coach is awful or anything, but the game that I was watching the other day, they had Dame, Giannis, and Middleton all on the bench at the same time. And I get it. The Bucks head coach has forgot more about basketball in the last 5 minutes than I'll ever know in my life. But it doesn't make sense to me that you have 3 all-star caliber players and you're not staggering them. It just seems to be a little sloppy. But I think all that stuff's going to get.
Do they have 3 caliber now? It's starting to feel like they only have 2.
Okay, that's fair. I still feel like Chris Middleton
I really like Middleton. I'm really high on him. But this season, I'm going to look at the averages. It could just be an eye test mixer upper because that happens a lot with a Chris Middleton type of player. But
he's definitely been worse. When you have those 3 guys, I don't see a reason why not one of them is on the court at all times.
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense to me.
If you're going to take Dame and Giannis off the floor at the same time, you have to at least put Middleton on the floor. I have the Bucks at a B for Bucks for a lot of the same reasons that you said. The record looks good, but they only get a B from me because they look clunky. On the box scores, they're coming out as winners. They're 10-4. We're all looking at the same chart. They've been 8-2 in the last 10 games. That looks good. But they're eking those wins out. And with the firepower that they have, they should be better. So they get a B because they should be performing at an A. They should be winning decisively. They shouldn't lose to Indiana. But they lost to Indiana. And those things matter to me.
I don't know how much the Indiana game matters to me, but I will say that what matters to me is that the Bucks have not much perimeter defense at all. Their best defender is Malik Beasley on the perimeter, and that's sad. It didn't work out for the Lakers. I don't think it's going to work out much in the long term for the Bucks. Dame and Giannis duo looks great, but it doesn't feel like they ever use the duo. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like they're looking to make a Dame Giannis duo. It feels like they're starting games with Giannis go as crazy as you can and hoping that Dame is just hot in the fourth. And it's working because Giannis is looking like one of the best players, if not the best player in the league. It's working because Dame is still averaging 24. I gave them an A minus. I agree with both of your things. I'm kind of in the middle. And I think the reason for that is that while they're on paper, not that they're on paper winning, but not very well. They have Middleton averaging less than 10 points a game. That's supposed to be their third guy. Their third highest score, I think, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure is at 12 points with Bobby Portis. I don't have much as a Bulls guy. Look, we gave up on the wrong guy, but I still don't have much faith for him being a third highest scorer for a winning team.
Yeah.
I really do feel like they've gotten away with so much having 2 amazing players that I don't know how long it lasts. They need a trade. They need to trade bad for some role players, and they have questionable depth. If Giannis or Dame are out, what happens to this team? I don't think much can happen for them, especially if Giannis is out. I don't think Dame thrives on this team. This is very much a Giannis-built team adding Dame. And on paper, that sounds amazing, but in play, it's just not working.
Yeah.
So I'm at the A minus. I think we're all pretty close to each other, though.
I still think, though, right now, I think that's accurate, but I still think there's a world where this totally works out. We get to the playoffs and those pick and roll numbers between Dame and Giannis go from 5, 7, 11 to in the higher teens and the 20s.
We got 67 more games before then.
So
I still think it's going to be a bust when everything's said and done. I still think that Giannis and Dame peak at the conference finals. They might make one finals together, but they will lose. I don't even think they'll make it that far because you have too many killers in the East that are ready to actually win. And as good as Giannis is, adding Dame offensively should be awesome, but there's only one ball. And defensively, he does not bring anything to the table.
I don't
Drew
think there's
Holiday-
a single team but the Thunder in the league that, while I've watched their games, felt like they want to win more than the Bucks. And I think that's why they have a 10-4 record, is because they want to win so bad.
That's something
they're not
to
just
point
being
out
able to
too.
win.
With as clunky as it looked, with all the struggles they're having, at the end of the day, the record is what matters, and they're still eking
that's
those wins
facts.
out.
Wins
So
are wins, whether it's by 1 or 100. You are correct.
It's a win.
That
Yeah.
they do look like they want to win, but I think, to Isaiah's credit, I don't know how much that's going to hold up come the playoffs. Wanting to win and making it work are two different things, right? I think they want to win really bad, and they've gotten away with winning because they have two of the best players in the league.
And it's still
will this
early.
hold up?
They're catching
Will this hold
teams learning.
Yeah, well, they're learning to. Will this hold up against the Sixers or the Celtics in a playoff series? That's the big question, right? I want to see some games. I want to see some more games between the Bucks and some contending teams in the East. And until then, it's going to be really hard for me to decide how I feel about what they're working with. But they got a while before they figure out this team. It does feel like they have the biggest change in offenses to make this season out of any team in the league. I thought it'd be the Celtics. It was not. They're just continuing to do what they do. But the Bucks have a lot of things to work on. Who's next for teams? There's one,
I'll
two,
go
three,
next.
4, 5.
So I've got the Heat also at a B. I mean, if we can clump them together, right? I have a lot of teams at B. Pretty much everybody from 3 to 7, 3 to 8 is having a B season for me. So just know that once we go from team to team. The Heat are doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They are a mid-tier team in the regular season that performs well in the playoffs. They're 8-5 right now. They pretty much have the same roster. They lost a couple good role players to free agency because those guys got themselves paid by playing really well. Outside of that, I mean, they're 8-5. It's Jimmy Butler and role players, and that works. He is the type of leader to take not randoms because they are good basketball players, but they just between Spoelstra and Butler, like that may be one of the most underrated combinations in the league because of how well that they rely on each other. Now, granted, Spoelstra and Butler don't have the success that like a Pop and Duncan do, but the way that they marry so well, it gives me Pop and Duncan. So they're in a B season, you know. I don't expect anything more from them. I didn't expect less. If they were performing worse, I might have something to say, but they're the best of the not contenders.
Go ahead,
Rookie
Josh.
looks good. Yeah, I had
amazing.
I had him at a B2. Jaime looks good. Butler shooting more threes. This is just what the Heat do. They're a boring team to talk about, but I love to watch them. They, really mud things up. They play hard on the defensive end. They make the right plays. They play unselfishly. Tyler Hero's been pretty solid for him. He's hurt now. So yeah, I had him at a B too. No arguments there.
I got an A-. I think that they're way ahead of where they should be. Where we expected the Heat to be in the regular season, even early. They had first of all, I'm pretty sure we all expected the Heat to be a 7 through 10 team.
But the East is so tight that
this is also them on a 7-3 streak. They started off the season with one of the worst records in the East. One of the worst. They've clawed it back to the 4th seed. I understand it's tight, but it's tight with good teams.
But what I'm saying is
they've already
2 games separates 4 and 10 right now.
Yeah. They could all have different grades based on that projection, what they're doing, how they're doing it. It's the same reason why the Celtics and the Sixers pretty much have the same record, but they're different.
So, but are they overperforming, or did we just underestimate?
I'll go through my reasons now.
Yeah.
They went from not making a single trade that they were supposed to upgrade their team in the offseason. They drafted perfectly in the position they had. Highsmith also looks like a great pickup for them. He's looking great for them. Bam looks more involved in the offense than he ever has been any year I've ever seen him play. And that's already being said after he's been one of their best defenders. Bam is looking like baby Giannis, finally. I really like the way Bam's looking. They don't, shout out to Butler and Hero and all them. They're looking fine as well. But to be 8-5 after starting the season, 1-3. I mean, arguably one of the worst teams in the league to begin the season.
I was going to say arguably the worst off season out of any team.
And they're still 4th seed. They're still tied for playoff contention in the East. That's crazy to me. They're one of the few teams. They're one of the few teams that did not go up, and they're still right where they are not normally. They're not normally 4th seed. We have to remember that the year they made it to the last year, they were a play-in team.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta keep this in mind. They just made it to the finals while being a play-in team. Now they're the 4th seed. I'm not saying that they're much better, but compared to where we all expect them to be, to a season that they're having, to the way that they're performing, I'm surprised.
Well, they're on a hot streak for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
They had a slow start. I feel that, and I like the high rating. I don't want you to think that I'm combating the high rating. It's just, I guess looking at this, it's weird for me to think that the Heat are overperforming because 4, 5, and 6 are all tied, and they're tied in the clinched playoff spots. If the playoffs started today, no bones about it, the Heat would make it no play-in. And they're right behind them are the guys that are only one extra game behind them.
I just feel like anything, especially in the East, anything 12th through 15, the record actually matters a lot. Anything 1 through 3, the record actually matters a lot. Everyone else is, for me, ratings-wise, report card-wise, is based on how they performed, how they've looked while performing, and what their expectations were.
For sure.
I think 1 through 3 matters. I think 12 through 15 matters with how bad or how good of a season you're having. And I say that with my favorite team being number 12. But their record is reflecting of that. I think that a lot of these other teams, the record doesn't mean as much. The Knicks record doesn't mean as much compared to how they're performing and who they win against. I think it's too early for the record to mean as much. Yeah, which is why I think they're an A-. I think the record's one thing, but they have a winning record while looking good, and they don't normally look good. And if this is how they look good in the beginning of a season, we know how they are in the playoffs. If they can still do that, this is really good for the Heat. Am I wrong? Am I tripping?
No. Yeah. Who do you want to talk about next?
Next, let's go Knicks. I had them at a B+. I almost had them at an A-. I have them at a B+. Randall went from absolutely horrible to okay now. Like he's good now. What's going on? That's been weird. The last few games, Randall's all of a sudden existed. RJ Barrett went from injured to performing like he wants to be a top 3 option on this team. Mitchell Robinson is probably the best role-playing center in this entire league. Jalen Brunson's been hot and not hot, but for them to be 8-5 with the weirdness of some of their players just not caring to perform at the level they should, with the injuries they've had to key players, with how small they play sometimes. I'm actually impressed by this Knicks team. They're right where they were last year. They're not much different, which is why I have them at a B+. I'm only giving them a B+ because of the adversity they fought through to still have this record. But yeah, I'm right there with those. Isaiah?
I think that the Knicks are, like I said, they're a B. I almost want to say B+, because they're doing exactly what I expected them to do. They're performing, they're contending. They've got guys popping off. We didn't expect to see what we're seeing from Randall, which is really cool. Jalen Brunson is being exactly who we expected him to be coming out of the playoffs, coming out of Team USA. The momentum all rolls over. He's having a really good season so far. They're right outside of the actual definitive elite teams in the East, and to me, that's where the Knicks belong. They are the team that you can't let stay in a series. They're the type of team you have to put away in a game, because if you don't, they will come back on you. I love the energy, and their record shows that, to me at least.
Yeah,
Josh,
I had them at a B too. I don't fully know what to make about this team. Like you said, there's a lot of weird stuff going on. It's pretty inconsistent, some of the play between Randall and Barrett. They're not doing bad, but I think ideally they feel like they should be a top 4, top 5 team.
They're not too
And
far off.
yeah, I mean, I guess they're not too far off, but I guess they're right there really with 5.
Well,
But,
yeah. Well, the Heat just won. The Heat are 9-5 now. So I mean, they're there.
yeah, they're just kind of a weird team. I got to see more of it play out before I give any solid, heavy opinions on it. But I'm fine with a B.
The Knicks feel like they need a move. It feels like
Yeah.
they're playing above what they should be at. And that's why I'm high on them, because it feels like they should be worse than they are. I know they have great players, but just the way that they play, sometimes watching some of these games where it feels like some of their players don't care to be there, like Randall, or taking stupid shots, but yet they have a winning record. That's why I gave them that plus on the B. But you could have said a B minus, and all things considered, it does feel like they are upset that the Embiid thing is working. They can't be in Embiid sweepstakes. Giannis sweepstakes are gone as well. Bradley Beals is gone. It feels like they might be one of the teams that needs to go for that Levine trade. I don't think it's going to be good for them, but they do need another piece to really put them in that 1 through 4. And whoever it is, they just need something, and they're playing like it. But they're winning while playing like it. So you got to give them something there.
You think it's
Josh?
a Levine? Or do you think it's like Austin Reeves? Do they need like a young guy that they can get for the cheap?
No, they need somebody. They need somebody who can score consistently. Brunson has been very inconsistent. They have defense. They have pretty good defense. They also have one of the best defensive coaches ever.
I was just about to say every team coached by Thibodeau is going to be respectable on defense.
They just don't have enough consistent scoring, and it feels like they run multiple different offenses every game. And it just feels like you're watching a 2K game where you're playing against somebody who can't tell what offense they want to run. And it feels like they do that a lot.
Yeah. Look a little lost. Next team, this team I'm super excited about. They were my team that I felt like was going to rise coming into this year, and I feel like they haven't made me look stupid. It's the Magic.
Yep.
I wanted to give them an A minus. I gave them a B plus just because, they're still not perfect in that top 3 or anything, but they've been beating good teams. Their losses, besides the Brooklyn one, have all been close, which, I mean, we talked about earlier, it doesn't matter. But with young teams, I feel like it kind of does. They're not getting blown out of the water. Anthony Black has looked good in spurts. They have that kind of weird point guard situation that they've been navigating.
Defense looks great.
Yeah. I'm high on this team. I really do like where the Magic are headed. I think Paolo's the real deal. And they have a pretty bright future ahead of them.
Yeah, I have them at an A minus. I did have them at a B plus, but I just think their defense is way above where they should be
for a young team, especially.
The Paolo and Wagner duo is surprisingly like a really good duo, very underrated. And I think if you give them 3 more seasons together, they might be one of the top 10 duos in the league. That's how good I think this duo can be. They play physical, and I think they play the most physical team. I think they might be, like, eye test wise, they're the most physical team I've ever seen in the league this season. Not ever, but just this season. They just need 3-point shooting. They don't have it. They just need shooters. And if they get that, like, it's crazy to think of such a young team. They have that. They might be, and if they get that kind of trade before the trade deadline, they could easily end with still the 5th seed. And that's saying a lot for a team that was just a lottery team.
Yeah.
A minus might be huge, but they are playing way above where they should be and who they have.
For sure. Yeah. They're still a B team to me, not because I disagree with anything you guys are saying. It's just, I'm reserving the A's for the elites. And they are just like the Heat, just like the Knicks. They're right outside watching, peeking in at the party from outside the windows. They are overperforming. They're playing really physical. They're playing really good basketball right now to be 8-5. But to me, they are still just outside, and they don't have anything so far this season that's made me be like, man, they're going to take the 3 seed or the 2 seed. They're gritty. They're chippy. They might mess around and win a series in the playoffs, but the way they've been looking so far, I also wouldn't be surprised to see them get bounced first round. But at the 5 seed, they're going to be playing the Heat, and a Florida series like that, maybe this rivalry starts cooking up for real. They're both
have they entered
franchises.
for y'all? Have they entered that Knicks, Cavs?
Yeah,
I guess you could say Heat territory.
I mean,
I have to see it in the playoffs
because there is Celtics, Sixers, Bucks for years now. Not even performance wise. Because if you say playoffs, then you have to take Sixers out of the first seed. They're only out of the first teams. Now Sixers are the same as the Knicks, which I disagree with. So I think there's a level with where teams have stayed at, and the Hawks are sadly there with the Knicks, with the Cavs. Are the Magic like the Pacers entering that? I think, but for both, yes.
I
don't
think they're
so.
better than the Pacers.
I think they come in threes. I think you've got your Celtics, Sixers, Bucks. Then you've got your Heat, Knicks, Cavs. Then you've got your Magic, Pacers, Hawks. And I think they stay in those bunches of threes.
I don't know about that.
So
yeah.
One thing I do want to touch on, though, Isaiah, you said that you felt like the Magic could win a playoff series. If you told that front office at the start of the season that they were going to win a playoff series, they take that every day of the week and twice on Sunday for such a young team. They're playing above where they are. And just real quick, we don't have to have a whole conversation on this, but somebody called me an idiot for this the other day, and I wanted to see what you guys thought. Is Paolo Banchero, archetype-wise, excuse me, is he the closest thing to LeBron since LeBron?
Yeah. No, wrong.
At the 6'10" with his passing ability?
The passing ability is nice.
And just the vision, the
I
defense.
think the closest we've seen...
Ben, because it's not
I'm
Ben.
going to say Ben. Because it is Ben. Before the mental break, it was 100% Ben. A point guard that was 6'10".
Offensively, he's been nowhere near like LeBron, and defensively, he's only been better than LeBron.
LeBron couldn't shoot coming into the league either. All Ben had to do was not have depression and get a jump shot instead, and he's LeBron.
LeBron can shoot way better than Ben Simmons rookie year.
Ben Simmons, better passer, better defender. All he had to do was get the jump shot, and he was LeBron.
The play style isn't even.
The play style isn't even the same.
They don't even play the same. They don't even play the same. Ben Simmons and LeBron don't even closely play the same. It's actually crazy how almost 90% of Ben Simmons plays are downhill plays, and like 60% of LeBron's are post-up plays. It's so hugely different. It's so hugely different in play style. Look, body size, ability, sure, they're close. I'm going to
get you a grippy sock vacation
also involves
Let's actually talk about it. No, because LeBron played back to the basket because he played when back to the basket mattered more.
With the exception of
Simmons
passing,
is playing in a faster league.
Look, you saying that Ben Simmons is a jump shot away from LeBron is the equivalent of saying passing away from LeBron is Zion Williamson. Nope. That's the same thing. That's
Zion
literally
can't stay on the floor. Zion isn't up.
Injury has nothing to do with it. Injuries have nothing to do with it.
Okay, but so am I an idiot, though, for comparing Paolo to LeBron? I know he's not as good as LeBron was in the early stages, but when I see a guy that's 6'10", that's built like a freak of nature with that passing vision, his shots getting better, the defense is there, I think he's a really good player.
My only thing with comparing people to LeBron is this, right? And I hated it for Wemby because I knew Wemby wasn't going to do it. And we really haven't seen many rookies besides Luka do it. And that's come into a team and establish and dominate on the team. You don't have to be winning, but just while you're playing, people know that that's your team.
You don't feel like he's done that?
Paolo?
I mean, he's the first rookie to score 30 points in one of the first games since LeBron. I mean, I don't know.
But even while watching, they're not like they were.
But that doesn't mean a ton. Because what about that chubby dude from Memphis that put up 42? What is he doing?
No, yeah. But that being said, Lofton. That being said, I think here's my thing, right? I think Luka might be the closest to LeBron in reality. Complete player wise, skill wise, Luka is probably more skillful than LeBron was as a rookie. That being said, I don't want to get into that argument.
Yeah.
But I do want to say that Paolo didn't come in his rookie year. They ran the offense through him. It was nice, but he didn't come in and immediately like try to ball out every game, right? Or it feels like LeBron first two, three seasons. It felt like every game he was going like not like 100 Russell Westbrook mode. Maybe the stats didn't look it, but it felt like he was playing on 100. I just don't feel that with a lot of these young guys anymore, and that's probably for the better. That's probably for the best, longevity wise, consistency wise, stats wise. It's probably for the best that doesn't happen. But I think that's my biggest thing with comparing people to LeBron is just the aggressiveness to go out there and prove yourself. You don't see that with a lot of players.
Yeah, I was just saying more the archetype wise. But yeah, let's move on. Who do
I mean? You're not wrong. You're not tripping though. I think it's one of the closest players you could have named.
Yeah,
I think he's closer than both Zion and Ben.
Who do you guys got?
No, he's all right.
Okay.
We're not moving past this.
No, we got to move past this.
We're
We're an hour in. We still have the East and the whole West.
All right, that's
we
fair.
got to move on.
The
Cavs are disappointing. I don't care that they've had injuries. The Cavs are a C+ team.
Injury. I say B. I think with injuries,
they're just depending on Donovan Mitchell way too much. I know they've been injured and stuff, but I still feel like their team is good enough that they shouldn't be 7-6 and losing to some of the teams that they have. We've watched them blow huge leads in the last 2 minutes of games. It's
you
not
convinced me to fall down to a C+. Actually, I'll go down as far as to say a B-. I still think you have to give credit for the injuries and them being able to win. Yeah. It has just been the Donovan Mitchell show, which is that's never worked out for a team. Just the Donovan Mitchell show. But Mobley's been getting off on offense. He's been doing way more. I think he averages 19 now. Am I wrong on that? How much Mobley averages? I think he averages like 18, 19.
I'll pull it up, but you're sounding like you're talking fast.
Mobley has taken the jump that I think we've wanted him to. Eye test wise, he feels more consistent on offense. He's not hitting many shots, but it looks more involved.
16-6. So
yeah, 16 is even nice still for a guy who's supposed to be the third option. Mm-hmm. That being said, he's been a second option in a lot of these games. Garland came back and balled out. That was a great game to watch. C+ is fair though. C+ is fair. They really have him. They really should be at an A and 5. Right? What's up?
Did you mean C+?
No, he said C+. I said B-.
Okay,
I said B-. Sure. Go ahead. Say that you.
I think they're another B team. They're injured, but they are still doing exactly what I expect them to do. If you're going to have a B-level season, you're going to be middle of the pack in the Eastern Conference.
Yes. Let's touch on the Pacers, and then I'm going to group a bunch of these together.
For sure.
Pacers, that's another B team for me. I almost have them B+ because they are kind of revolutionizing an older offense back into the NBA. The 3 and the layup only offense. Here's some stats I wrote down. They have the highest offensive pace in the league.
Mm-hmm.
They have the highest amount of points given up.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, it's worked out record-wise. Halliburton might actually be a top 5 point guard in the league at the end of the season if he continues this. But the 3 and dunk only offense is looking a little mixed. But it's working. I mean, they look great. They look way better than they did before. Go ahead.
When your philosophy goes down to we either want the most amount of points or we want the highest percentage shot. Yeah. Like if we're not going to shoot a shot that's worth extra points, it better be right at the basket. That play style feels very video gamey. And I say that to say that it equals about a 500 season. You know what I'm saying? A couple balls bounce the other way. They're 6-6 instead of 7-5. They have the pieces to do that, and I don't see them doing anything more than 500, which is why I'm glad that they're doing what they're doing now. They are top of the league in they're top of their group. They're undefeated so far in the in-season tournament, and I want to believe that teams are taking those games serious, so I'm giving that weight. They beat Cleveland and they beat Philly, and I both thought that they were better.
What are you giving them?
B.
Yeah. B. Now I have just so we can do some. We're an hour in. I'm going to try and get to the East as quickly as possible. I have 3 teams listed at C's or C minuses. I have 1 C, 2 C minuses. My C being the Nets. My C minuses being the Hawks and the Raptors.
Okay.
Now it's probably a little while because the Nets are lower than the Hawks. But
half a game. We're not mad.
But I think for the Nets, we can just go through all the three of these real quick. The Nets, I feel like they're in a good long-term spot with Cam Thompson, with Bridges, not Cam Thompson, Cameron Thomas. Yeah. With Bridges, even with Ben kind of accepting a lesser role. I think they have some money coming up in the offseason they can use as well. This is a good spot for the Nets to be in the future. I have them mid because they're performing mid. Also, the front office is really good at taking spots for the future and then trading it all away for vets and doing nothing with it. So I'm skeptical. They are the dead even team for me in the East, and that's the Nets. My C- is Raptors Hawks. I'll make it really quick. The Hawks just play too much help defense. They're not doing the Trey's inefficient. They're allowing too many inside shots, and they're allowing their second most inside shots allowed and the most corner threes allowed. It's a recipe for one of the worst defenses in the league. But that being said, Johnson looks good. They still do have the personnel to pull that around. Raptors, Barnes looks amazing. Pirtle and Schroeder look good. They just have really, really bad shooting. I think them and the Magic have some of the worst three-point shootings in the league. Yeah. So that's my ratings on those three. Go ahead, guys.
Good.
No, you're good. You're good.
I don't really have much to add to really either of those teams. The Hawks, I've never been high on them. They look good when DeJounte Murray's on the court and Trae Young isn't. That's kind of what I'm going to leave it at that. Jalen Johnson has been super impressive, though. Really happy to see that guy kind of coming into his own.
And the stats don't give him any credit. He's definitely a role player's player. He's
one of those guys, like when you watch the game, you notice him like right away, and you notice him throughout the whole game. He doesn't go away. Nets, like you said, I like where they're at. Especially when Ben Simmons comes off the books and that all gets freed up and everything. I'm still not convinced Mikal Bridges is a number one option. I feel like he's probably a 1B or even maybe a 2. But, for everything that they've been through, for flipping that team around and stuff, I think they're in a good spot moving forward. Raptors are funky. I don't know if that's the team that is still together by the trade deadline. We've heard the rumors, we've heard the rumblings for a few seasons now. And with Scotty playing as good as he is, I am almost inclined to believe that pushes them more into the full rebuild. And just kind of moving forward with him. The other team you could throw in there, well, I guess I had them as an F or a D, is the Wizards. I don't even know what they're doing, So it's funky. I saw a story today that they're talking about maybe trying to trade away Jordan Poole.
It feels like they're trying to get his. I've read probably a similar story. They're trying to up his trade value so they can just move him. I'll say this: one thing about the Wizards that looks good is Koulibaly.
Yes,
that French rookie
does look good,
really good, and I'm happy for him.
He looks like a really good defender.
Yeah,
really good on the perimeter.
Isaiah, those 4 teams.
So Hawks, Nets, Raptors, all C-ish for me. I didn't do a lot of plus and minus except for the top teams because that's where you're splitting hairs and it matters. The Hawks look terrible. They need to blow it up. We've been saying that. The Nets are looking like they're coming up, but they're still like the teams that are coming up are the teams they are trying to catch up to, and that's not a spot you want to be in because it's hard to dig yourself out of that. That's also a C. The Raptors, for a team that's looking like it's about to get blown up to smithereens, they're doing the best with what they have, right? Everybody else is a D. The only team I gave an F to, like you guys, is the Wizards. The only reason the Hornets don't have an F is because they're better than the Wizards. If they had one less win, they might also be an F. But I want to believe that LaMelo Ball can backpack them to at least being a 10 seed or an 11 seed. So that could just be blind faith.
The thing with the Hornets is at least they have interesting players, right?
Yeah.
They
do. And
Ball,
LaMelo looks
Brandon
better
Miller,
this year.
Mark Williams, that's an interesting 3 core.
LaMelo looks good this year. LaMelo looks really good.
The Wizards, it kind of feels like they got nothing going.
They have a lot of young guys on that Hornets team that I'm really happy with. The guys that you named. I had them tied with the Bulls, which is kind of right there with record. I didn't even look at that whenever I was making this. And a big reason for that is it feels like they're still like one of the most inconsistent teams on the court. Every one of their guys, with the exception of maybe LaMelo, but even him, feels like they might spaz one night, but they might. And usually you can get away with inconsistent players by having some consistency. Hey, we're going to keep doing this. You might be good some nights, you might not. But when the whole team is inconsistent, it's hard to watch. And that's the problem with this Hornets team. You could turn on a game and you might get an amazing game from them. Or you could turn on a game and be like, why am I watching this like it's the Pistons games? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that's why they're D. And then Bulls, I think it's the only team we haven't touched on. They're at a D+ for me. The only reason why they're not an F, it's nothing to do with their win-loss. Everything to do with, I think Levine is a mid-trade target. I don't think he's that good of a trade piece for most teams. We have a lot of good flashes and a lot of good starts, but 0 fourth quarter. And there's no team leader on this team. I mean, you can make an argument for F, and I won't be upset by it. I just think what they have, they're clearly going to blow it up, if not by the end of the season, halfway through it. And what they have to offer to blow up is actually pretty good on paper. They have a lot of players that they can offer to get at least picks or young guys. So they're D+ for me. Bulls.
Yeah.
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 Hard D, because they're not good enough to be a C team with the rest of the other teams. They're the worst at bottom feeding right now, you know?
Yeah.
And so to me, 12 looks a lot worse than 15. Like I said earlier, the Pistons make 2 and 13 look good. 5 and 9 is ugly.
Yeah, it really is, especially the way that they've been winning and losing games. It's been hard to watch. Some of these wins we should not be getting. Some of these losses.
It's disappointing to see you lose. Yeah.
And I still think Levine is a mid-trade target. I don't think we get much back for him.
Especially with that contract.
Yeah, the contract and his inconsistency.
And his injury history. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get to the West.
Yes, please.
Let's go. Let's start with the Timberwolves. They're the only A+ for me in the West. They're tied for my only 2 A+. I know they're 9-3. They could easily become another 10-4. They could easily lose some games in a row. I have just one thing I want to say about this team. Anthony Edwards is him. Anthony Edwards looked amazing in the offseason. Everyone said Team USA, yeah, he's going to get that bump. Every Team USA player has had a huge bump this season. There's not a single one that hasn't went up. Every single one. Halliburton is making his own offense now. Paolo Banchero is leading the Magic up. Anthony Edwards decided, fuck it, forget it, sorry, F it. We're taking the first seed in the hardest conference. That's crazy. A+, Timberwolves hands down. I don't know if they continue this well above where I wanted them to be. And this isn't like the Rockets to me, where they just have a good record because they've been playing well. They've been hitting the right things.
Real.
This is real. So yeah, anything that you guys have to add on to that?
No, yeah, the Timberwolves are definitely looking like an A+. They deserve top in the West right now. They're looking hot. I don't know how long it'll last. I don't care how long it lasts. We're 12 games into the season, 15-ish games into the season. Doing what they've done, you know, the numbers show. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. They're number 1 for a reason in the hardest conference. They're the only team out of the West that has an A+ from me.
And look at their conference ranking. They're 7-1 versus the hard
Yeah.
games.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. And they're only on a 1 streak. So this isn't a new hot streak. This is them this is how they are.
They just lost.
Yep.
They
Josh,
were,
anything to add on to them?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, not really.
They were,
I mean,
yeah.
This kind of goes back to what I was saying last show. It's like if you go back to that mindset when they first made that Rudy Gobert trade, there wasn't any promises of playoff success, but you know these were going to be a damn well good regular season team. And then Cat and, you know, they missed all that time with the injuries and whatnot. This is the team that I expected them to be last year. They're doing it. Anthony Edwards looks better than he ever has. He's really hitting his stride.
Where is he at? Top 5 shooting guards in the league.
Oh God.
I'm gonna go really hot here.
Number
really,
3.
really. No, I'm gonna go even hotter. I think by the end of the season, he's the best shooting guard in the league.
Cap.
Who's better, Booker?
Booker.
Is that all?
I think Book. I want to be generous and say
Here's why it's hard for me to put Booker there. Booker's the starting point guard for the Suns.
that's okay. That's fair. Because I'm thinking of he is a 2, and he
I mean,
is
we
better
can
than
argue
Anthony
and say
Edwards.
he's just a guard, but
No. I agree because you've got Book in that conversation. You've got Doncic in that conversation. And that's why I put him in such a hard
if Luka's
3,
in the
'cause-
convo, then he's not going to beat out Luka. If
but
Luka
that's what I'm saying.
is
Those
not
are
in
the
the
only
combo,
two guys I can put over him.
Yeah.
He's better than Jaylen Brown.
Yeah. He's definitely better than Jaylen Brown.
If
Devin
Luka's in the
Booker
combo,
aside-
then he's the second best in the league at the end of the season.
Devin Booker aside, I wouldn't even really consider Luka a shooting guard. I know that's technically what he's playing now, but let's just.
I've always counted Luka.
I think he's the point guard on that Mavericks team.
For argument's
Kyrie has
sake,
been a shooting guard for 3 seasons in a row now, and we're all just forgetting.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
For argument's sake, we'll call
For
Luka
sure.
a point guard. If we put Devin Booker aside, Anthony Edwards is the best shooting guard in the league. I mean, he's better than Donovan Mitchell. He's better than Jaylen Brown. He's better than Zach LaVine. He's better than Tyrese Maxey. He's better than Desmond Bane.
The list goes on.
He's better than DeJounte Murray. He's better than Tyler Hero. And I mean, at this point, we're just going down and down and down.
No, yeah.
So
you're right.
Yeah.
You guys took the bullets out of my gun without Devin Booker or Doncic, who I guess do technically both play point guard right now. He is undisputed the best 2 guard.
Yeah. I mean, Luka's it's crazy because Luka's been like I guess he hasn't been starting at that, but he has been playing ball handler point guard for the Mavs ever since he's entered. I've always seen Luka as that. Everyone likes to put LeBron in the PG conversation as a joke, right?
Yeah.
But I think you seriously as a joke, because when they start whenever people talk top 5 PGs all the time, they don't talk LeBron. But
LeBron's always played with a point guard.
Yeah. I think Luka is a point guard.
Yeah.
To a T. So that being said, I guess it's not a hot take, but A+. Let's go down the list, guys. Let's go Nuggets, Thunder. They're both the same for me. I lie. I have an A for the Nuggets, an A- for the Thunder. A minus because the Thunder have had some pretty easy matchups. But that being said, they look amazing. Even without Shea, Chet still balled out. They still have some of these other guys. I still am not high on Lou Dort. I think he's not as good as he was supposed to be a season ago. But Giddey still looks nice. And then the Nuggets. I mean, do we even got to comment on the Nuggets? The Nuggets are the Nuggets, and they're still the Nuggets. They're only a normal A and not an A+ because they haven't exceeded anything. So how y'all
It's
feel?
hard to top being the champions. The only thing you can do is stagnate.
They
Unless
still
you're the
look
Warriors.
like the best team in the league, and it looks like they lose when the other team has a really good shooting night.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen.
Yep.
It's like nobody's beating them convincingly. Everybody's beating them with a really good game of their own.
They're playing their best games and they win.
Yeah, exactly. And the Nuggets are treating it as a regular season game. Honestly, I think they look better than I thought they would. I thought they were going to have a little bit of a slow start, little just kind of championship hangover kind of thing. Nothing crazy, right? But they look good.
I'm not a believer in championship hangovers. I get it's happened for almost every championship team.
Not these guys.
But I don't know. Just the way Mike Malone was talking about everything in the offseason, the way Jokic just didn't seem to care about any of it. It just felt to me like, you know what? They're going to come in and do exactly what they did last year. And that's just been what it has been.
And last year they started really hot, trailed off, and then got back really hot towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
So,
and by trailed off, they went from first seed to third seed. They didn't trail off hard.
Yeah. They just, kind of dipped a little bit. The Thunder, I have them at an A. Chet's just
way to fight the bias, man.
Chet's just awesome. Chet is just absolutely incredible. 50, 40, 90 from a rookie, just insane. Shea looks like an all NBA player easily. Cason Wallace, the rookie, he looks like he's a solid 6th man to a starter, and he's just been playing great in that 3-and-D role. I think Lou Dort's shooting has actually improved this year. His defense is always going to be really good. This is a really interesting team. Everybody on this team can make decisions with the ball. They make the right decision, and they're just playing unselfish. Like, I hate to sound like that old white guy, but they play the right way. Like, they really do.
Yeah.
It's not one guy taking the ball over.
Shea's been having some of the craziest stat lines. And while watching the game, you almost have to ask yourself, wait, did that happen?
Yeah. Yeah. it's pretty cool. The way they're utilizing Chet, the way he can space the floor and they can run like the Spain actions and
He
everything.
might be rookie of the
with
year.
Giddy. Well, he's right now, I feel like if it ended today, he's absolutely rookie of the year. No fault to Wembanyama because the Spurs are they're struggling and they're kind of letting things ride. But yeah, they look great.
Yep. Isaiah?
So Nuggets
And take us
Thunder,
to the next two after that.
for sure. Thank you. Nuggets Thunder, I have them both at an A, but for different reasons. Like the Nuggets are number 2 as the champions. I'm not knocking them for that because the Timberwolves are hot right now. They're playing good basketball. They look exactly how we expected them to look. It's like when you go to McDonald's, you order a Big Mac, you know exactly what that Big Mac is going to taste like. And if you're in the mood for a Big Mac, dude, is that going to smack? It's going to slap. It's going to be so delicious. And in that same way, the Nuggets are giving me that Big Mac that I'm craving. The pickles, Thousand Island, lettuce, cheese, beef, middle weird bun. Like they got it all. The Thunder are showing us that the young core works. They're showing us that last year wasn't a fluke. Guys are actually good. They're actually performing in the harder conference, tied with the champions. Loving it. So that's an A. I've got the Mavericks and the Kings both at a hard B+B.
I got both B pluses.
They are performing right behind those top teams. Like I said, I don't know why I started it like that. The top 3 in each conference is a club. You know what I'm saying? Like those 3 teams, even if they aren't seeded the top 3 in each conference is usually who you're going to get your champion out of. And for them to be knocking on the door outside of that is a lot different than it is in the East, because in the East you've got the Heat, the Knicks, and whoever wants to be the next best team. Could be the Magic. That's who we're looking at right now. In that way, I am way more confident in the Mavericks, the Kings, and even the Lakers having a chance to perform as opposed to the Knicks, the Heat, and the Magic. Even though the Heat just made it to the finals. Somebody had to make it out the East, though. I think that the Mavericks are looking good. We're finally getting to see the duo play well between Luka and Kyrie. They've missed a lot of time together, and that's a duo that we don't talk about missing a lot of time together because they're just they're a big market, but they're a small market in the coverage that they get because you don't see a lot from them. But they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with the Kings. They're young, they're fast. De'Aaron Fox is doing what he's supposed to do. Domantas Sabonis is looking like he wants to be one of the best bigs in the league. We're having a good time with 4 and 5.
I wanted to give the Mavericks an A because I did have them at not making the play-in.
You did,
but I had to go B+ because as much as they've been outperforming like crazy, I think a part of it is they have gotten really their rookie is really good. Lively is really good for the role he is in. He's not going to come out there and go crazy on the stats, but what he does for that team is huge. I just don't know. I'm not worried about it with the Kings, but I'm really worried about longevity with this team on the Mavericks and their defense over time for them to continue to be a 4th seed. So I had to give them a B+. And then the Kings, bro, the Kings are also B+. I wanted to put them also at an A, but they aren't even as good as they were last year.
No.
That being said, De'Aaron Fox was injured for a good part of this season so far. But they just don't feel – they feel like sometimes in their games in the 4th quarter, it feels like they're just looking for another guy to help. And sometimes, that's what's the 2 guards' name? Malik Monk. Sometimes – but sometimes that person isn't there anymore. What Harrison Barnes was last year, they're missing this year. So I have them also at a B+. I think they're doing pretty good this season, but we'll have to see how it goes. Josh, are you about the same?
Yeah, I'm about the same. I don't have much to add to either of those.
Where are you putting the Lakers and Rockets at, Josh?
So
and Suns. Let's do all 3 of those because after that, then we could drop it off.
Yeah. So Rockets, I actually have them at a B+, just solely based off my expectations and how they've been playing. I don't think it's going to last, but as of now, as of today, when we're making this list, I think they're pretty happy with the way the season's going and everything's unfolding. Lakers, I have them at a C+. I'm really kind of worried about them. I've been saying this. I think they really need to get out to a much better start. If LeBron's playing 40 minutes a night past the trade deadline, past All-Star break, I think they're going to just be totally flat in the playoffs and they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
The Suns, I have them at a C. I know they've been injured, but I mean, that's part of the game. And this is a team that's super top heavy and they're super reliant on those three guys. These three guys, I mean, maybe really not Booker. They don't have a crazy injury history, but the injury history is there. And, it hasn't looked. I mean, it's kind of hard to say what it's looked like because those three haven't even really played that much together. But
so
they got to get healthy, and that's got to change fast.
I agree. So we're gonna skip some of the. We're gonna finish out this, so that we're gonna skip the in-season tournament thing because we'll probably just hit that next week. We're already an hour and a half in. Do any of you guys have anybody in an F in the Western Conference? I have the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
I also have the Grizzlies at a hard F, just because they are so underperforming. They're too talented to be down there.
Even without Ja, I agree.
Sure, you're down Ja, but he runs and dunks. What else is he doing for your offense other than energy? I mean, he's a good passer, good facilitator, important leader, right? But
they're also down Steven Adams.
Yeah.
It's not like, we don't have Ja. That means we can't shoot 40-foot three-pointers anymore. That takes a dimension away from our offense. Like, no.
I think there is a huge dimension taken away from Ja and Adams being gone. It's not the shooting, though. And the shooting is kind of going. I mean, Bane is still being Bane. Jaren Jackson Jr. is still Jaren Jackson Jr., but they're not taking a leap without Ja. And I expected them to take a leap without Ja, whether it be small, whether it be, whether the record be they're 3-10 now, whether it be 5-5 or something, or not 5-5, but you get what I'm saying, a 5-8 or whatever. But 3-10 be right there with the Blazers and Spurs. This is just recipe for a bad team. Yeah. Even when they come back.
I mean, if you put it this way, Ja's out for the first 25 games, right? So they've played 13. So let's say, for argument's sake, misses another game. That's 26. If he comes back to them being 6-20, their season's over.
Yeah, 100%.
At this point,
is there a turnaround? They're 3-10 right now.
Yeah,
I know that there's 60-something games left. Ja has another 12 before he can come back.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say they stay on this same pace. He comes back to 5-20. That means that for them to be in playoff contention, they have to go 50-10, 40-10 for the rest of the season. Do you see them winning 4 out of 5 games for the rest of? That's what I'm saying. I think it's already over.
And I pretty much believe that too. And I really do think people are underestimating what Steven Adams does on the court.
Yeah,
100% agree.
The stats aren't always there, but that guy is there's a reason why he's been in the league so long as he is and been such a desired player.
He's not even 30 yet.
Hey, what Draymond just did in the beginning of this episode, Steven Adams would have done. It would have just picked him up and walked away with the guy.
Yep.
Steven Adams is the enforcer on that team. And not just with attitudes, not just with any of that stuff. He's also the guy he's the only guy on that team, if we remember correctly, who checked Ja Morant in the media. The only guy. And then on the court, defensively, rebounding. They're missing all of that.
Yeah,
all
he's
of that.
the only guy on the
is
team
not a
that
center.
can rebound.
Yeah. But besides that team, guys, anybody in the West that you guys didn't give a C to that isn't named the Trailblazers? I have them at a D. Everybody else I have at a C, some variation.
I have the Rockets at a B-, just because they're still overperforming. As young as they are, for them to be 500, I like what that shows to me in the West. Now, granted, they are 5-4 in the conference, which means they're over 500 against West teams. So I feel like I'm all about it.
I feel like they're performing really well, but they're just an early. It's just they're one of those teams like the Jazz, like last year.
Hey, there's a reason you get 4 report cards in a school year, my guy. This is their first quarter grade.
I think if I can, just for future safekeeping wise, can I just have everyone rattle off the teams we haven't talked about grades wise? I have Pelicans C, Warriors C-, Clips C+, Jazz C+, Spurs C+.
Clippers C+?
Yeah.
They are a C- if they won 2 games in a row. To me.
No, this is here. I'll tell you why I think you're tripping. They have too much talent to not make the play-in, and they are early and only 4-7. I'm not upset about it. They added too much to expect any kind of wins early. And I think at being at 4-7 is not bad for adding a guy who's going to change the entire way you play offense. And also getting Kawhi and PG back together consistently. They've also been able to do that. Kawhi has clearly got from that injury last year, is clearly still rehabbing that back. I don't mind where they've been. Paul George has only showed me that he's still at the same level. I don't mind them being 4-7. I don't think they're a contender right now. I don't think they're playing like a contender, but they're playing just as well as whenever you add another player. You know, they don't have a Giannis or a Dame to take over every game because of a new move. You know what I mean?
Here's my thing.
Go ahead.
They are the 11th seed. A lot of this is liquid, right? A lot of teams are going to go up. A lot of teams are going to go down. We've been talking about putting people into tiers, and these guys belong in this bunch and this, that, and the third, right? 11th seed is outside of the play-in. They don't get a chance, right? The 4 teams that are below the Clippers, hardcore worse than the Clippers. They will not beat the Clippers, right? As far as standings go, they're not going to jump them. The Clippers have to pray that either or both the Rockets and the Pelicans drop the ball and
I don't know why.
performing
I think
well.
you're crazy with saying the Pelicans instead of the Warriors. I think the Pelicans have only performed consistently decent.
No. I'm saying that they're young still. They're inexperienced still. Like, they've got veterans on the team, but they don't have guys that have won. And so to me, like, it's more likely that the Pelicans fall out of the play-in or the Rockets fall out of the play-in than the Suns or the Warriors, because the other 2 of those teams they've been playing for championships.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, it just makes sense to not even include them there. But
I think the Warriors might not make the playoffs.
And if they fall, the Clippers take their spot. I think
that's where I'm looking right now. I think the Rockets fall, and they still think they make the play-in. I think the Rockets fall, and the Clips and Warriors are still there. I think that's what it looks like at the end of the season for me. I don't know about where everyone is numbers-wise, but I do think we are just a Rockets fall from the NBA and the West being correct.
Yeah.
Being realistic.
That's my thing, is like the Clippers are praying, and I do mean literally praying, for one of the teams above them to crash and burn out of the sky for them to even have a chance to play.
But are you praying for the Rockets to fall, or do you just know they will? Because they've only played...
They need them to. Like, whether you pray on it or not, like, they need that to happen. And this is why, like, they're getting the Chicago Bulls almost an F from me, because they're not bad enough to bottom feed, and they're not good enough to contend. They have all of these expensive pieces that aren't performing. And so to me, like, I cannot give that any better than a D.
I think it's just too early to worry about performance with the Clippers. I think they've had too many moves. They've had too much of a system change from just the offseason to just out of training camp to just in the beginning of the season. They've switched it 3 times already. I don't expect them to be any better than 4-7 out of their games. I didn't expect them to lose that many games in a row, but I knew it might happen.
But when is the inconsistency not going to be seen as consistent? You know, the Clippers are consistently inconsistent.
I think 25 games.
You think 25 games in, we will see
we will see
the vision
that I think by 25 games, the record I don't think as much, but on court 25 games. I test 25 games. If they're not playing at that top 6, top 7 seed level, they might not actually be a play-in team. But I think we have to give them, especially the Clippers, at least another 15 games.
I'm sick of giving Kawhi Leonard and Paul George chances. Yeah, I'm sick of giving them a pass, man. They've been too talented to not have performed in as long as either one of them have. And I feel like a hater for bringing up that it was 6 years ago that either one of them was relevant, but it has been something like 6 years.
I feel like in that same vein that it's only been 5 years since LeBron was relevant. If you're going to say the same thing.
LeBron.
Okay,
right?
That's my point. Yeah, see what I mean? You can't just do that. That doesn't make any sense.
If you had a baby when Kawhi Leonard won his last championship, that little dude would be in kindergarten right now.
Yep, and you know what would happen if you had LeBron, a baby when LeBron was the last one to won a championship? He would be almost about to be a kindergartner.
No,
yes.
He'd be 3.
They won chips right after each other. Not right after, right after 2 years after each other, right?
That's what I'm saying. That's
18,
LeBron,
20,
an
right?
old man, has won.
Am I wrong? Was it not
since-
18, 20?
Yeah,
was, yeah,
it was
18, 20.
20.
I'm agreeing with you.
So 3, almost
LeBron-
4. That's almost kindergarten.
I mean, you still got another. It depends on what month.
It does depend on what month. But look, I hear your point, right? I still think that looking at like, oh, this guy hasn't won in 5 years. There's 30 teams. That's pretty good.
And like I was saying,
is going to walk out
we can
wins.
be spoiled by growing up on LeBron and Tom Brady being types of athletes where when they are active, they're in the conversation. I may not know how to be a basketball fan in a league where you cannot definitively say it's going to be this guy versus whoever gets a chance to play against this guy.
I feel like that's how the NBA has been. Like, look, we had the LeBron era, we had the Jordan era. I'm not going to say it was the Kobe era because Kobe wasn't always for sure going to be there. I feel like it's just getting back to where there is no for sure guy, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a good thing because it shows how much skill there is now in the NBA, how many good players there are. It's only going to get more. There's only going to be even more all-stars in the future. I think the LeBron, like I said before the show or whenever we were streaming or whenever I said it, I think LeBron's era ended when Toronto made it to the playoffs. Well, made it to the finals. I think LeBron's era of winning, of dominantly winning, left as soon as he got to the Lakers.
I can dig that because he's like Wilt Chamberlain, where he went to the Lakers as an old man.
Yeah, and he won one. I mean, I'm not trying to take away from LeBron. Don't get me wrong. I respect the heck out of the guy, but I think if we're gonna come at Kawhi about the stuff, there's a lot of players we have to come at, a lot of them, and a lot more than
Kevin Durant.
Because
I've been coming at Kevin
Jimmy
Durant.
Butler.
Jimmy got to the finals.
He hasn't won nothing. No, we're talking about winning.
He's getting there. He's getting there with scrubs.
Guess what? If their career ended right now, who is a better player?
Jimmy Butler.
Kawhi. Because he has how many chips?
That's fair.
Versus 0 off the eye test. Jimmy Butler off the eye test as the Bulls. Jimmy
Butler.
Right.
Yes.
All right.
100%.
He's only been good in the playoffs. Only.
Where it matters. That's where it matters. Where do you want him to be good?
He played good when it mattered. How about the finals?
Hey.
All right, then. All of a sudden, he wasn't a player. It wasn't even just the finals. Let's not forget that. It was like the last 2 games of the Celtics series. He just wasn't a player anymore.
That's fair.
Jimmy Butler is just a fuse, and once it's gone, it's done.
Where's Kawhi though?
Let's get off of it. Let's get off it.
Yeah.
Let's get off it. We'll talk preseason next week. Not preseason. We'll talk in-season tournament next week. We're gonna do a whole episode devoted to that. Let's get to our trivia things, and we can get to ending the episode here. I have 2 people in question, guys. I have an OG, and I have a current player who will soon be an OG, maybe, if he stops hitting people. I got a few questions about each. Let's start with T-Mac, right? This rapid fire. No touching. I need y'all looking here and here alone.
Hold on.
All right.
Turn off my screen share.
I already took it off. You're good.
No, I'm trying to fix my lighting. My fault.
All right.
Yeah, you go ahead. I'm listening.
All right.
Matter of fact, yeah, hands up.
First one to answer. Closest. You have 0.0. You have 0.5. You can get far away. I need one answer. Quick as heck. No more than one answer. How many points per game did T-Mac average in his career?
24.6.
26.4.
Sheesh. All right. I'll give you guys one more chance. You guys are way too high.
17.3.
Damn. It's way too high. I don't even know now. 19 points a game? Let's call it
19.6. One to Josh.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to name 3 players who were teammates of Tracy McGrady. You're going to tell me which one is not the teammate. First one to get it right. You only get one guess. Kirk Heinrich, Al Horford, James Johnson.
Kirk Heinrich.
It's Al Horford.
And you're both wrong. It is James Johnson. No points. They both played on the same year on the same Hawks team with T-Mac.
Oh, the Hawks.
That's dirty.
That's
dirty,
savage. Yeah. That is. Yeah.
All right. On to our next player. We have a 1-0 right now. Draymond Green. How many seasons has Draymond Green averaged more than 10 points per game?
3.
Oof. 4.
Okay. Bonus points. Can you guys tell me the seasons?
No.
They're all in a row, all these seasons. This will get 1 extra point.
16, 17, 18.
Go ahead.
17, 18, 19.
Well, okay. Josh, you get 1 point. It is 4. It is 14 through 18.
Oh.
He averaged over 10 points per game. Real quick, what pick was he?
Oh, he was in the he was the 13th pick in the second round.
Jeez, I have no idea. I guess 15th
Wrong.
pick.
They're both wrong. You guys are both over. You guys get one more.
30. He was the last pick.
Jeez, 26.
Nope, he was the 35th pick in the draft. He was 5th pick in the second round.
Second round. Okay.
All right. We got 2 more questions here. 2-0 right now. What college did Draymond Green go to?
Michigan State. Give me
There
that.
it is. There it is. All right. This is the fun one. Out of famously known nicknames of Draymond Green that he himself has replied to, which of these 3 is not a nickname that he has replied to? Day-Day, Big Draymond, Dancing Bear. Which nickname of the 3 has Draymond Green not replied to?
The second one,
Which one? Day-Day, Big Draymond, or Dancing Bear?
Big Draymond.
So, gentleman's bet, right? Because you're ahead by 2 points, I think. So, even if I get this right, I still lose. We'll make this question worth 3 points. I will go Day-Day.
And Josh got it right. It is Big Draymond is not the name he goes by. Day-Day and Dancing Bear are both nicknames known by Draymond.
I knew Day-Day, and I just figured the Dancing Bear was just too wild for you
I
to put
don't
it in
want
there.
to know why he's called the Dancing Bear.
Yeah, I didn't
I
look into
think
reasons
I
why.
know, but I
This
hope
is from
it's not right.
NBA.com. NBA.com has questions, like frequently asked questions about players,
Yeah.
and the very last one of Draymond's is nicknames. And Dancing Bear and Day-Day are the only ones they have up there. I'm like, okay. All right. So there we go. That's the second time. But it's 2-0 now for trivia with Josh, right? Versus Isaiah.
I think we've only done it once. We did
We
who
did
we
it
play
twice.
for?
Oh yeah,
We did it
Done
twice. We
Okay,
have done it
well,
twice.
I'm-
Yeah.
Have we? Yeah, we did. We did.
All right, I'm going to come up with the questions, and you two are going to compete.
Do we want
Alright.
to do Player of the Week real quick?
Yeah, let's do Player of the Week. Who
All
we
right.
got?
Mine was Halliburton. This was
Mm.
before the Magic kicked the crap out of them yesterday. But the 2 games before that, this is a crazy stat. Halliburton scored or assisted on 135 points with 0 turnovers. That is the most since turnovers were a stat.
Whoa.
Yeah, he
mean,
also has the highest assist to turnover ratio in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
with the
he set-
6.5.
NBA history. I mean, that was just insane. That was
I
just
mean,
such
look,
an insane stat.
I'm a pass first guy. I'm a point guard at heart.
Mhm.
I love my passers. Rajon Rondo is one of the guys I took my own game off of.
Yeah.
I got to give it to him. Just hearing that stat alone,
Yeah.
I almost
was
wanted to give it to Giannis. He's been dominant with 40-point games consistently. That was my pick. But hearing the Halliburton stat,
Mhm.
and if I remember his stat line correctly over the last week, like average wise, yeah, I mean, the dude's balling out. He's averaged over 20-something points with over 10-something assists. And it's more than that. It's if we're being specific, but you get my point. That is not to lead the league in turnovers to assist ratio while leading in assists is. I mean,
Yeah.
come on, speaks for itself.
I personally would give it to Anthony Edwards, but I think Halliburton, you can make an argument. He's the best young player in the league right now. That's under 24, 25.
Yeah,
I like going Halliburton. Wasn't he our player of the week last week?
No,
We went Tyrese Maxey last week.
I think so.
Okay.
Last week we went Edwards. The week before we went Maxey. The
Okay.
week before we went Kaminga as the preseason.
Preseason.
Okay, for sure. So I'm cool with giving
And
it
we
to
missed a week, so that's why it's kind of awkward. But yeah,
Hmm.
it's been 2 weeks since we've given it to Edwards.
Oh, I
Not
wasn't
two,
saying
close to.
give
Halliburton.
player of the week to Edwards. I was saying that
I think Edwards
I
and
think-
No, I know what you
Giannis
mean.
had chances to win it later, but I think Halliburton on this streak right now, like I think I'm not saying he's not going to have historic seasons and he's not going to have good stretches this season. But this might be the most important that Tyrese Halliburton gets to be all season. So I would like to give him player of the week because we're going to talk about Giannis and Anthony Edwards later in the season a lot.
I'm 100% putting my hat in and saying Halliburton, but I do want to say that it got continued today, but this over the last week stretch that Giannis has been doing with these 40-pointers and dominating games, and it just happened again today. I mean, we've seen it from him before, so it's not as impressive. But to do it, especially while you add Dame and still trying to figure that out, but you're still dominating. I mean, look, I think it's crazy. But you know, if it continues how I think will happen for next week. So let's go Halliburton. I'm so cool with that. Cool. We have only young guys so far for our players of the week so far this year. We started with Kuminga, then Maxey, then Edwards, then Halliburton. How long do we expect the trend to go, guys? Are we expecting young guys to be the theme of this year?
I think young guys pop out to guys who watch the game a lot. You guys are fiends for the NBA. So I expect you guys to keep being impressed by people you've never seen do what they do, or impressed to see doing what they do at the level they're doing it, because like I'm a simpleton. So when LeBron does what LeBron does, even in his old age, like I'm like, cool, that's LeBron. I like that. But you guys see these young flashy dudes that are the future of the NBA. I think that vision is going to pop out, and we're going to keep picking young dudes.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Man, at the beginning of the week, I thought it was going to be Jordan Poole when he had that really crazy game where he had 39 and 3 quarters.
Yeah.
And then that has not. It has been so bad. So
Jordan Poole's going to have
to
score 50 points a game to ever get a vote from me.
I was so high on him before the season, and now I'm like, he really did go there just to shoot.
Yeah, he's playing 2K my career.
He literally got punched in the face and moved across the map.
The farthest away team he could have went to. I don't know if it's the farthest, but it is literally.
That's on some Fresh Prince of Bel-Air type stuff right there. I got in one little fight. My mom got scared.
She should move into Washington. Oh man! All right, guys. Well, that's been the episode tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, if you are watching on YouTube, give us a subscribe. We really, really would appreciate that. Just got the channel started a few weeks ago. And if you're watching on Twitch, give us that follow. It means the world to us. So many more shows coming, guys. Isaiah, dance us out of here.